Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Finance and Banking Conversation at Women Leadership Summit. Today we have here Periša Ivanović, the Executive Committee co-member at AIK Bank. Then we have Darko Jovišić, CEO and co-founder at Robotiq, and Milan Nedeljković, who is managing partner at Analytic Solutions. I'm Milena Drača, business development and operations management consultant with previous 10 years experience working in banking sector, leading banks operations and retail, and going through digital transformation of the bank. Therefore, it is really my great pleasure to be here and to moderate this panel. We are all witnessing a huge transformation of this sector, meaning that the banks together with other sectors are going through digitalization. Banks are automizing their internal processes, but also the ways they serve their clients. We see a lot of outsourcing activities within the sector. We see the banks competing with the fintechs, but also starting their own fintechs or starting a partnership with other already existing fintechs. So let's say that among the top 100 global banks, 80% of them are actually having a partnership with at least one fintech. So I would like to ask Mr. Ivanović, what do you think the future bank will look like, having all of these changes in mind, and consequently, how will this affect the prevailing job positions of the people working in the banks?
Thank you, Milena. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, especially for your invitation. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I wish greet all of you and my colleagues on panel. It is a really demanding issue. I think that the last 10 years, many academics and practitioners and bankers are speaking about this. I think there is a lot of really interesting to say in each time, on each summit, in each conference, etc. The future of banking will be radically different, and I really share the opinion of Mr. Bill Gates that we don't need banks, we need practically banking, and we are living banking early morning, during the day, late afternoon, etc. The future of banking will be radically, really different, I think, respecting many aspects and the reasons. The main question today is who will do banking and who does banking work. Now, I used to say the last 5 years that capital assets are data, algorithms, and people, not so money. Question, who do I trust with my money? Who do I trust with my data? Who do I trust for advice? And finally, who do I trust to do the right things for me? In the future, I think that could all the different entities or institutions decide about that. In the future, practically, following Accenture, there will be 5 roles of banks: bank as a channel, bank as a distributor, bank as a platform, bank as a practical aggregator, and fifth product producer. In the future, the banking institutions regarding our role in our banking system also will become invisible, connected, driven by data, insight, and purposeful. I will finish with one conclusion that our work first, and it is, I will share with you, it is part of our strategy, that our work first must know to deliver solution, data, algorithms, help, advice, service, and smile at the end. Smile is really at the end, but is also on the front of our desk, front of our conversation and first contact with people. And we think that these circumstances and these texts are also very, very important for the future of the banking.
You already mentioned these new fast-growing technologies and their huge influence on the sector. So, Mr. Nedeljković, would you please elaborate a bit more? So what are these new fast-growing technologies such as machine learning and so on, which are helping us actually to analyze the data, to make better decisions, to assess risk differently, to tailor our services for clients? So what are these technologies and are we actually ready to accept them?
Great. Thanks very much for the question. Again, thanks from my side on the invitation to participate at this panel. And thanks to Periša for bringing many things which are relevant already up front. So I would just focus, given the amount of time that we have, just going to focus on one thing, which is artificial intelligence, or in other words, AI, which is really a buzzword now. And it's actually been a buzzword for the last 10 days or more. And one thing that I would like to share is that when you say AI, this has become really an encompassing type of word, right? Because when you just say AI, and by saying AI, you can mean different things. You can mean, as you said already, you can talk about machine learning models. You can talk about which are going to be employed for advanced analytics and so on, which means that you're going to build the models for assessing propensity of your consumers to buy a particular product or to get reached by a particular service and so on. But also AI comes with the idea of using chatbots, using robo-advisory, and to the extent of using pattern recognition or face recognition, digitalize some of the services that the banks are providing or they are planning to provide in the future. So given the fact that AI is, and we all talk about that, I can share a bit of my experience about that from the market, and also I'm just going to focus more on to advanced analytics part of AI. And if you look at that, and you rightly pointed to that, is that majority of the banks has already started their analytics journey transformation, and all these reports or forecasts are predicting that those guys who are leading the analytics change are going to capture much of the improvement. So there's going to be something in between 15 and 20% difference in 5-year average EBITDA between those who are the leaders and those who are the laggers in the adoption of analytics and associated technologies. But one thing from what you said is that, and I can again come from my experience of leading a company which is providing this type of services to banks and to insurance companies in the region and more. I can look at two things, I would say. One is that there is still not full understanding of what we're gonna obtain or what we can achieve with AI. So again, this is kind of similar to what happened 20 years ago when maybe I was at the beginning of my career, when people were talking about .com, right? Everything that had a .com was super fancy and super popular. And this is a similar thing now with AI and analytics. So AI and analytics can help, but you really need to understand what are the situations where they can help and improve generate the business value for your company or for the bank. And at the same time, know what are the limitations so that you don't get fooled around. And there is a bit less, at least on the market, understanding the difference between prediction or correlation that you're gonna typically get from using machine learning models and analytics, and what is called causality, which is relevant for my policy decision making, right? Because what happens if I change something, what will then happen? And this is the area of explainable AI, which we actually develop, and which I believe is an important advancement in application of analytics and machine learning in banking and financial industries, because this gives you an opportunity to go one step beyond. So you don't get just the prediction. If I'm a decision maker, I want to understand what are the economics or what is the business intuition behind such a performance of the model, which we typically get when we use this type of models. So that's one thing that I would like to share. So we want to accept the technology, but as you rightfully said, we need to know, are we ready for that, and how we can really most efficiently adopt it. And the second thing, again, from the experience is that no matter how well the model performs or how well you do your technology, at the end of the day, it is equally important how the organization is going to utilize it, how it's going to be implemented. And this is where we come back to humans. So in the work that we do, we typically want to automate everything, and that's what we do. So you automate all the end-to-end data flows, model flows, and everything that you get. But at the end of the day, somebody needs to take a decision based on this. And if you want all these projects to be successful, you need to make sure that the entire organization buys in. And of course, this is something that is related to projects from 100 years ago. You need to involve the entire organization. But I believe that this is even more important nowadays, because if the organization or those teams are not happy or with a smile adopting the new technology, then you can do as much quality model that you want, but it will not generate your business value if it's not adopted in a proper and most efficient way.
Thank you, Milan, a lot. I do agree completely that people have to understand. So when decision makers and the ones involved in all these changes before implementation really have to understand what they are implementing, what they are going to get from it, and what not. So what are the roles then that in the future people working in the banks will play? So this is something that they have to know, and once they understand all of this, then it is much easier for them to accept the changes and to understand the benefits they are going to enjoy in the future. But of course, when it comes to the job positions, they will change. So the corporate culture will change. So we are looking for people able to accept more complex activities. So to work cross-functionally, so among different teams, and also to change mindset, to have this more entrepreneurial mindset and to embrace innovations. So if we speak about all these changes, then we have to be aware that some roles are also going to be lost or eliminated in the future, and we have to know what these are. And I think here Darko maybe can help us with his opinion and experience in general. So according to the technology your company is using, so what are actually these roles and functions of the employees that are not going to exist or are going to be changed in the future?
So hi Milena, hi everyone. So hello from Zagreb, and thank you for the invitation to participate in this panel. So I'm engaged in a company and we are working quite intensively with the banks, automating repetitive stuff. Basically, we are now mostly working in back office positions, because there you have a lot of tasks which are quite repetitive. They don't require a lot of creativity in them, and they're really prone for automation. You know, when you look at the manufacturing business, it's highly optimized, efficient, while in the services business, it's still manually labor intensive. And we are working to really automate these processes. And then we have examples, not globally, but actually in Serbia and Croatia. So we have a bank in Serbia which has like 10 digital workers, robots doing like 70 processes in bank. So when we are talking about roles which are endangered by this, I would say everything that is repetitive in the back office is prone to automation. Now, that doesn't mean that these people lost their jobs. It means that they now have time to actually deal with the customers, to have more time to actually devote to implement the customer experience. As Periša said, you know, smile is the most important part. So I think with this automation, we are actually giving them the opportunity to really, you know, work intensively with their customers. So currently the technology is mostly working in the back office, but also I think in the future it will also come more to the front office. So there is too many touch points in the bank, and the customers want digital experience, self-service experience, and robots can help there. So just to give you a couple of concrete examples, because this all sounds very vague. So we have a process in one bank which does a company solvency report. So you're a company, you need this report. Then you call your banker and say, send an email, I need this report. And then this relationship manager sends the task to the back office, and then the back office does the transaction, and then this document goes back to the customer. So we have multiple touch points and a lot of efficiency, problems there. So currently we've optimized this so in such a way that back office is excluded. So this back office work is completely automated, but now we are working actually to remove also the need for a relationship manager, sending the request and then sending back the document. And we will do that by incorporating the request into internet and mobile banking. So the customer will trigger the robot, the digital worker, who will complete everything and return the document back to him. So I think, in the future, this technology will have not only impact in the back office, but also in the front office. And I think, people will have more time to actually work more with the customers and to do much more creative stuff.
Thank you, Darko. I here completely agree. I had the possibility to really see what is changing in the back office once you implement these solutions. And then you mentioned efficiency, but I would also add quality, since robots don't make mistakes. So it's at least rarely than people. So here, for the quality of service, I think it's also very, very important. But then
not only that, but also customer experience.
Yes.
So just a small example. So we had a small robot that did this thing. So you had like different card management systems, and if you paid some amount on your card, it would take 1 day to actually for the bank before the robots to actually see that amount on your card. And it was done manually by humans. So what we did is we implemented a robot that did that once per hour. So if you top up your card, you would see it in 1 hour, which means that you have better customer experience, not only completely automated and error-prone, error-free process.
Yeah, you're right here. And but definitely then all these repetitive work, as you said, I agree they will be changed or step by step eliminated. And then these people working these kind of activities will have to adapt and to educate themselves or to be educated by their employers. So education is here really important, and the question is now where and how they can get this skill. So this is a question we are coming to, how to train our people and to coach them to improve. So Milan, can you please help us here and then elaborate a bit more how people can acquire this knowledge they need for the future?
So I think Darko and Periša already mentioned a few things, and I can just add to what you said about what are the skills that are kind of expected in the future in the banking sector. And I think, and not only in the banking sector, in most of the industries, I would say that people really need to focus on flexibility and multidisciplinarity, which means that people have open mind to learn new things and to develop over the career. And this is again something is not new, that has been on for since I was a kid. They would always tell you can never stop learning, but I think in nowadays is really even more important. And I think if you want to develop your skills in the banking sector, I would say that you really need to develop that you understand what is the type of business towards banking are evolving, and especially that you are able to understand the business value of all the technical advances that are going on. So I'm not saying that we all need to be developers or programmers. We just think we need to have at least understanding what are the benefits from the business point of view that we can achieve from these technical advances, so that in the future the role of business translator, in a sense, can disappear, so that we don't need a business translator to communicate between those cross-functional teams that Milena has already mentioned. So so that the teams can work together without the need for the business translator to map guys who are in the technical part and those who are coming from the business side. And this is something important. And finally, I think if you look at it from the managerial perspective, I think knowing the psychology it will be even more important, because you really need to understand the behavior of your people in your organization, how you can take the maximum out of them. And at the same time, as we already mentioned, because we're going towards personalization of the offers, we really need to understand how the customers are thinking. And I think those are kind of areas or sciences where you really need to develop your skills. And as you mentioned that how we can develop them. So essentially you have two ways. One is formal education, where there's still, at least in the region, I don't know, maybe Darko can share some experience from Croatia. I can talk about Serbia, because my other affiliation is, which I haven't brought so far, I'm the dean of faculty in Serbia, which is the leading private business school here. And I can share my experience from that point, and which is that I don't really see that the state-owned universities are really catching on, so that they are kind of lagging behind. And in fact, we are really considering things that are going on at the same, and opening and changing our curriculum such that we provide to people the opportunity to get those skills that will be required, that are required already now, and that will be required in the future. So we have a master in digital transformation, which has been on for 4 years, which is really tailoring this need, so that we can really have people who are coming from the business background to understand, to learn the elements, the tech elements that are required, but not really going into writing up their own algorithm. They can do so if they want, but this is not a necessary thing. And at the same time, people coming with a tech background who can understand really what are the business values that they can obtain using the things that they're developing. So this is the idea. And I think this cross-functionalities and this multidisciplinary part is where we should go. And this is what we have recognized at my faculty, and this is the area towards we are focusing on, including the psychology and including revamping completely what is now taught in economics, so that we fully take into account the changes that we're observing over the past 5 years. And this is one side. So I still believe that formal education in terms of master's degree or undergraduate obviously is the way to go. If the program is set up in a way that is useful for you. Just to get a diploma, I think it's not worth it anymore, because you can work without a diploma. I don't care, as long as you have your qualities. So I think people should be careful when they're signing into programs, so that they make sure that they get the value that they're paying for. And if we are not going to this regular stream, I believe that companies should really look at these short programs, which equip their employees with the knowledge that they can be fine-tuned to their needs. And this is another opportunity to really invest into people. And I think companies and banks especially should not be shy of investing into people. And if this is the case, then we are achieving two things. We are getting more qualitative, better quality from our employees, and at the same time making them more happy, so that they can come back with a smile again.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, this continuous learning is actually what is necessary, and should be in a way initiated by the employees themselves, but also supported by the employers. But this is a must. So how are the banks going to adapt? And this is an important question for women also, because banking is one of the sectors where women are really largely present in all the positions, including management positions. And then there is an interesting question, why is this like that? So how come that in banking we do have a lot of women, and then with banking becoming more involved with the technology, is there a risk for this to change? So what is going to happen with the role of the women in the banking, and what the banks are going to do about it? So this is a question for Periša, yeah?
Okay, thank you. Women, yes. I'm agreed that there is a gender balance in financial institutions, especially regarding banks. For example, in our bank, 69% of employees are women. It is very good. It is excellent. Regarding managing roles and responsibilities on the bank level, they are 56%, and in executive board, 60%. Regarding this, you can see that we are happy and successful financial institutions. For me, women are more and more educated, well equipped with new technologies and with wide scope of any culture. They don't have problem. I think that they don't have problem with the challenges. And if they have to change workplace, for example, or set something new, for them it is more easy. And in this sense, they are very, very flexible. I can see that also with young people with in the age of the students. And they see job as a challenge, not as an obligation. And in addition to, in the nature, in their nature, practically is a good planning, agility, time management, loyalty, and sacrifice. Second, I can't accept the statement that women are now less digitally and technically literate. All around and practically each day on many meetings I meet women well equipped with new technology and government skills, ready to listen and learn. I think that future is ahead really in women in each kind of organization, from family, entrepreneur to other companies, institutions, and industries. They are surely our future. Third, I support and I share the opinion of Milan regarding the generations, the new generations, and the new demand for the new job skills and etc. I was also teaching on FEFA. It is really very, very good faculty. For example, in the iBank and Gorenska Bank group, we also cooperate with the FEFA and some other faculties. We persist the fact that every business outcome, practically from productivity, efficiency, and to, for example, talent retention, innovation and growth starts with your employees. I think that this conscience is very important for the banks now, and hence employees are in the center of our business strategy. And I would like to inform you that therefore this year we have a redesigned employer strategy. Our main goal in that strategy is to help employees to improve technology-driven capacities and to enable our workforce to interact anytime, anywhere, and practically from any device with an enhanced workforce experience. We are striving to develop a comprehensive approach that creates a more productive and adaptive workforce, equipping people with the skills they need to collaborate with intelligent technologies. What is also very important, I would like to inform you about our second project. We are developing and defining workforce and each workplace, and we call that it is really something new, digital workplace experience. This digital workplace experience brings together the technology people, operations, culture, and employee experience needed to unleash new levels of value and sustain it, practically supporting our agile and innovation concepts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to hear that these kind of initiatives do exist, because really it is important for people to feel secure, because like security is something that is questionable here, security of their workplace, and then having in mind that there are these initiatives, and if they are willing also to accept it and to participate, then we can say that there is nothing to worry about. They should be excited about the change. And one more thing is just if there are ways to educate, the question is how hard is it? So on example of robotics, I would like to ask you, Darko, what do you think how hard it would be for people to reskill, so to master this technology? And you mentioned both back office and the sales, where in these departments, again, women are really present a lot. So can you really tell us how hard it would be for some maybe of these employees that would show interest to master this technology?
Yeah. I think it's becoming more and more simple. You know, technology in the last 5 to 10 years is really democratizing, and it's not only RPA. If you look at analytics, if you look at workflow automation, all these different technologies, they're becoming more and more simple. So, like today, you know, you have the whole machine learning models and all this, and you can just, you know, with a couple of boxes, you can create your own solution. So it's becoming more and more acceptable for non-IT people to actually use the technology. And I do agree with Milan. I think it's actually the skills you will need are multidisciplinary. It's how to connect all the dots and all the technology that's available with the kind of business common sense. And I think, you know, we, especially in RPA, you know, business skills are required. You really need to know how processes are done, how they can be optimized. And so actually one of the key requirements for my consultants that we have in the company, it's not only technology, it's lower portion. It's actually more how to listen, how to actually speak with people, how to understand the business context. And coming from that sense, I think it's not too hard to reskill. I mean, there's so much content online. We do have our own online academy. Most of the vendors have, you know, a lot of these content online. And I think, you know, as Milan said, one option is to go kind of on the formal way, but also there's so many resources online, courses like Coursera, Udemy, and these are all relatively, you know, acceptable price, acceptable. What is just needed is enthusiasm and a will to change. And I've seen in my company, number of transitions where people that used to work in different areas actually turn to kind of the IT side and switch their careers to become RPA consultants. So I think it's possible. What is needed is a desire and the wish to actually learn.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. I think this is our common conclusion would be that actually digitalization in banking is an opportunity for the employees to get more interesting, innovative jobs and positions, not to take some, let's say, conservative roles and to do repetitive work, but what is actually necessary and is there is the will to learn and how they can educate themselves. Well, we can go through official education, meaning universities. We have a lot of online courses that you, Darko, also mentioned, and there we have corporations really and banks supporting all of this, leading some more specialized programs. Therefore, I would really, as somebody who is coming also from banking and really being in love with the new technologies, to encourage all the people to embrace all these changes and this interesting future of banking. Thank you.
Thank you very much.